With business becoming more demanding, the role and composition of boards has never been more relevant. This is especially the case for a wide range of stakeholders, and indeed for current and aspiring board members. We asked Ryan McCarthy, KPMG partner and Board Leadership Centre lead, about the evolution in the requirements for successful board members.
I think companies have become more sophisticated in terms of how they think about boards, in terms of how they think about the balance of skills, in terms of how they think about diversity, and on every front. And also I think, I suppose one of the things that we've learned, I would say, particularly in this country, on the back of the financial crisis, was that actually, you need deep skills at board level to cope with issues that you get faced with and that are thrown at you. And just because someone has had a successful career in a previous life doesn't necessarily they're best qualified to deal with a crisis that might hit the company they're on the board of.
Given that the range of risk issues has grown exponentially, what do boards need to be thinking about when it comes to managing risk?
Boards spend a lot of time thinking about the risk management. From a corporate governance point of view, every company, frankly worth its salt, will have risk registers, will have processes in terms of evaluating risk, mitigating risk, etc. I would say actually the key to good risk management actually is probably a bit more straightforward. It's identifying the very small number of risks that could have make a real impact on a company. But I think more particularly working out, do you have the skills and resources to cope with risk? Because the reality is, as we've just seen over the last 3 or 4 years, we've been hit with risks and, in a general sense, and issues which I think people probably didn't see coming. People would not understand, I think, that there'd be effectively a fuel issue on the back of, a geopolitical matter in Eastern Europe where Russia would invade Ukraine, for example. But actually companies who were ready to react and who were nimble in terms of assessing impacts from those sorts of things in their businesses were able to manage that risk on a live basis much better.
Businesses obviously need to get the basics right, serving customer needs, investing appropriately, and ultimately staying profitable. Given that this is a task in itself, what are the considerations in getting the balance right between near-term and longer-term risks?
I think it's a real challenge for boards to get that balance right between thinking about current risk, near-term risk, or the known knowns, vis-a-vis things that might be unexpected or are in the medium to long term. I would say though, in terms of risk more generally, I think that boards and companies need to build capability to deal with crises. So get the basics right around, finance, governance, good information, good data, good reporting, good advice actually. And I think if you build up the skills and the resources in those areas, you're probably as well set to hit anything that really, or to cover anything that you'll be hit with. I think just seeing risk as being a desktop exercise of managing a list of risks, I think actually is what ultimately causes trouble when real unforeseen matters arise.
With so much information available to board members, what should current or aspiring board members consider in terms of their effectiveness?
I think really effective board members are very good at making sure that they're impacting companies and boards on a strategic level. The reality is boards have no shortage of material to cover that will be provided by management. Certainly one of the things that I've seen in my job of sitting around board tables over the last 10 or 15 years is that the volume of material that board members get asked to go through or is shared with board members is huge and is increasing all the time. Really good board members focus on things that are of real strategic value to companies and focus in on those things in particular, and in the right sort of way leave executives to manage the business and focus on the things that are really impactful on the strategic direction of the company.
Finally, those with board responsibilities have a new Irish-based resource to support them in their role. Ryan McCarthy tells us more about the Board Leadership Centre.
We are acutely aware of the volume of information and noise that boards are being confronted with. So one of the things that we're trying to do is help boards and board members and chairs distill down that information and focus on the things that help them make really good decisions for their companies. We're going to do that in a couple of ways. The first thing we'd like to do is we'd like to create a forum where, on a peer-to-peer basis, board members and chairs can get together and share their own thoughts and insights around leadership and governance. But also from a KPMG point of view, we'd like to bring the best of KPMG globally from an expertise point of view to this group, and also bring the best external contributors to help inform better decisions.